quick live because I had just watched a video and it made me think we should have an airing of the grievances and we should talk about icks in horse training. I've made posts a couple times in a couple groups asking other equestrians about their icks, and I thought I'd come on here and do one on here. I've tried doing them on here before and gotten no interactions, so it may not be a great idea for a video, but I thought I'd do it. So the video that triggered this whole idea of talking about this is this girl said it's a scientific fact, it's not, that respect is a human construct. Now, the word respect is a human construct. Horses don't have that depth of language. However, horses clearly understand respect. And here's why. When a mare spins around and pins her ears at a colt, what do? They jump away and get out of the way, and they clack their jaw because they say, hey, I'm a baby, I'm still learning the rules. That is a form of respect. So to say that horses don't understand the concept of respect is insane. They don't understand the human construct of respect. They might not understand that I say, hey, you need to respect me. But you know what they do understand as respect? Moving each other's feet. It's an age-old training concept. If I move the horse's feet, I am in charge of the horse's feet. The biggest thing that we focus on is controlling how they move their feet. Why? Because it's a respect thing, and it's also a safety thing. But the idea that horses don't understand respect is simply not true. You can argue horses don't understand right and wrong. That's true. Horses don't have the capacity to be naughty. Again, true, because they don't understand right and wrong. They do understand cause and effect. So why do horses go from, why would a horse go from kicking somebody to no longer kicking somebody? Because they understand cause and effect. They don't understand what I did was wrong, what I did was bad, what I did was morally reprehensible. They don't have that understanding. What they do understand is every time I kick them, they punish me or they correct me. And they can say, okay, those two things are connected. If I kick them, they're going to correct me. The same is true of a horse that bites, whatever. So again, it's like the idea of, do horses have the ability to be naughty? No, but they do understand cause and effect, and they do understand, that's why some horses, when they bite people, immediately jerk their head away. Well, they don't understand how to be naughty. No, but they understand cause and effect. So they know, hey, I bit them, and every time I bite them, I get popped in the face, or I get backed up, or I get corrected some way. They're going to react when they know that they're doing something that causes you to react another way. And that's, again, where I talk a lot about being consistent with your horses. My horse came to me, and he was really jumpy and afraid, and he'd jump when you go to catch him, because there was not a lot of consistency in his handling. Now, so he also came to me with a major bucking problem. He would explode. And now he doesn't, because I've consistently taught him that just because he's saddled doesn't mean he's going to immediately be lunged, run around, bucked out, all that stuff. Saddling doesn't necessarily mean work. He may be saddled, tied, do groundwork, and then go back to his, his pen and be done. That's where that consistency is a big part of it. So the idea that horses don't understand respect is simply foolish. And the idea that horses don't understand or aren't capable of being naughty is also, again, that one's an issue more of semantics. Do they understand being naughty? No. They mentally are not capable. They don't have morality. They only understand cause and effect. But that also means they know when they're doing something they should not be doing because they understand cause and effect and consequences. Those are a couple of things that'll, like, those are icks for me, talking about horses. Another thing that is an ick for me that has started a lot of drama and that I have had many Facebook conversations on, halters under bridles. You will see that with this horse that I had, I put a halter under his bridle for multiple rides because he was scared of people touching his face. He thought he was going to get popped in the face. And now, my later videos, you can see he no longer has a halter under his bridle because we trained him. We taught him that he doesn't need to be afraid of people. So that's one of my biggest pet peeves, is people who do the whole halter under the bridle. I never realized one that I hate even more, halter under a hackmore. Like, I saw a picture, it was a girl, and she was judging and making fun of a drill team comprised of children, mind you. And I went looking because I'm like, all right, if you're judging something, you should be a pretty good rider. And I went and looked, and I was like, this girl is not qualified, because she also taught lessons. She's not qualified. She had badly fitting tack. She had a halter under hackmore that was clearly impeding the functioning of the tool. I will say, if you must have a halter under your bridle, it will look unprofessional. I don't care if that offends anybody. It looks unprofessional. However, if you're a trail rider or something like that, do you really care if you look professional? You're out trail riding. You're supposed to be out having fun. Who cares if you look professional? I mean, I try to always look professional. I fail a lot. I think we've all seen my outfits on my YouTubes. They're not great. But halters under bridles look unprofessional. They make you look like you're a lot less skilled than you probably are. And if you must have a halter under your bridle, make sure it's not impeding the functioning of your headset. You know, if you've got a hackmore on, make sure it's not impeding it. If you've got a bridle on, make sure it's not, hindering the effectiveness of the headset. I'm trying to think. Another ick that I developed from the barn that I worked at earlier in the year was people who don't tie their horses correctly. And this one's pretty broad, but you should know at least a singular knot. And this barn, every single person in that barn, there's a lot of people that ride at that barn. I mean, it's a 40-plus horse facility, and not one of them knows how to safely tie up a horse. There's not a single person in that 40 to 50 horse barn that can actually tie a horse safely, where you can quickly release them, or where you can, if you're teaching the horse to tie, safely untie them after the lesson. I had pictures, I think I posted them on here at one point, of some of the knots. They were atrocious. So, like, if you're gonna train horses, if you're gonna interact with horses, at least know one safe way to tie them to keep them safe. It's not that hard to learn one singular knot. Another pet peeve that I have, we're just gonna be airing the grievances, is leaving your halter hanging. So, you go to take the halter off and put a bridle on, all that jazz. And instead of untying the halter and hanging it, you just leave it hanging there. That is so unsafe. That's why I hate it, is because it is so unsafe. You can seriously harm a horse, you can seriously harm a rider, you can seriously harm yourself. Just untie the halter. It is so lazy to leave it hanging there. So lazy. It takes 2 seconds to untie it and hang it properly. And I'm a lazy person in my own estimation. And I'm saying that, all right? Like, we're asking bare minimum. I have not ridden him. I might have ridden a mule, but not very much. I would love to. I'd love to have a good broke mule. I don't know what dungarees are. Let's see, what's another? We're talking pet peeves. Cribbers. Cribbers are always a pet peeve. Horses that paw. Oh, really? I think they are burns, or burn, but I just call them bibs. I've never heard them called dungarees. But yeah, cribbers, horses that paw. Thanks. Ooh, this one's gonna make people upset. And I don't mean any judgment. I don't mean any judgment. I don't mean to be like condescending. I don't mean to be judgmental. But it is something that that is one of my pet peeves. And I do think it will offend some people that I say it, but I am gonna say it. Horses that can't behave in the alley. I understand your horse is getting ready to be amped up and to do a job, and that's totally understandable. But when they look like a train wreck that's gonna kill somebody, it's not good. And that's one of my biggest issues with speed events, is their horses act absolutely insane right before their run. I get it. You got to get that energy up. You got to get going. But it's a pet peeve for me. It is. It's a pet peeve. I can't stand that. On the other hand, on the other complete opposite side of the spectrum, something that I spent 6 years doing was Western pleasure. So one of my biggest pet peeves for them is the pansy behavior in the warm-up ring. Yeah, exactly, Benny. Like, and that's why I say, I mean, no judgment, because some horses are just crazy. And some, sometimes it comes out of left field. Sometimes you can't prepare for it. That's why I say there's no judgment. It's just something that I'm like, look, we as an industry could do better in this. And I have ridden barrels a few times, but not super competitively, not well. I forgot I even have ever done it, because that's how often I do it. But for Western pleasure, my pet peeve for Western pleasure, stop being such weenies in the warm-up ring. Like, desensitize your horses. The fact that you are living in terror of a paper bag blowing by is sad. Or somebody opening an umbrella when it's raining, or like, come on. You can't get your horse a little bit desensitized. And I did Western pleasure for a long time, so I feel like I can judge. And that one I do have a little judgment on, because it's really bad and it's kind of pathetic and it needs to change. And also, stop breeding your horses to limp. We can do better. I'm trying to think. Kind of the same thing for, I do know Spirit. I watched Spirit growing up. Kind of the same thing for dressage riders, but they're a little bit, they're getting better and better about it, I think. Desensitize your horses again. Just like, I'm trying to think of other pet peeves. If anyone in here is an equestrian and has pet peeves, share them, because that's kind of the whole point of this live, was just discussing pet peeves. Oh, thank you, Equine Edits. I missed you. Do you have any equine pet peeves? What's my opinion on rodeo riding? I have nothing against rodeo riding off the top of my head. They take really good care of their bucking horses from what I've heard and what I've seen from people who work in the industry. I'm trying to think if there's anything really negative I have to say about the rodeo industry, but nothing comes to mind. I have tamed wild horses, yes. So there's another one, for pet peeves. Oh my goodness. I rode my aunt's 16-2 horse, and it would literally jump on all four legs up in the air if I saw a log or a branch down on the floor. That's funny, Benny. Ooh, people putting away tack wrong, especially doing the latigos crooked, really peeves me. That's a good one. Bye, Equine Edits. That's a really good one. People who put bits on the wrong headstalls. Those are bad. Headstalls are designed with a purpose. Do I cut his tail? No. I mean, I take a piece of their tails sometimes, but generally no. Let's see. Yeah, I don't have any really criticism for the rodeo industry that I can think of. Racehorses, wait a little longer. Let them grow up a little. 2 is too early to be racing. The R+ only community. Enough said. They drive me crazy. What do I think about draft horses? Great horses. I love them. I love draft horses. You know, just make sure you teach them manners. Like, I can't stand when people have draft horses and they let them walk all over them. Like, teach that sucker some manners. But that goes for any horse. It's just it's a more prevalent issue and a more dangerous issue in drafts, in my experience. Let's see. The R+ community in general is definitely a big pet peeve of mine. The idea of flooding. I can't stand when people they'll come on, and I've disproven it many times. They'll come onto my videos and they'll say you're flooding him, and I'll say, okay, explain flooding exactly, like be really specific, because I will ding you on every single thing that is incorrect. And they give me some definition, and I prove it wrong with another example that's accepted in the horse industry or whatever. I have disproven the idea of flooding on my page so many times, and so that's a pet peeve for me. When people, they disagree with the training method, and so they come on and they just say, oh, well, you're flooding them. No. Or the idea of learned helplessness. Does it exist? Yes. Does it exist as much as people like to throw it around? No. No, I've never had a horse break a leg. I wouldn't know how to deal with it. I have no idea where to bet on horse races because I'm not involved in that industry. I'm trying to think. Another thing that irks me is people who coddle their horses. I feel like I'm a fairly compassionate owner. I feel like I try to be very considerate of my horses, not push them too hard, too fast, but it's a washing machine. Definitely people who coddle their horses is a pet peeve of mine, because these horses used to be used in war. Okay? They used to carry bombs. They, you know, they were solid. And now, because of poor breeding, and poor training, they've become just really pansy, and cowardly. Another one that is a pet peeve that I only recently discovered is, which is obvious, is people who lie when they're selling horses, and then they lie to cover up their lie while selling the horse. The horse industry is toxic and negative and hard enough as it is, to then add on to that someone being lazy and dishonest. There's enough negativity in the equine industry. I'm trying to think. I have a lot of pet peeves. I'm just trying to cover some of them that are I'm trying to pick some that are controversial, but some that are less controversial. The putting people's tack away wrong was a good one, and that was equine edits. Oh, really? That's cool that you sell saddles and stuff. My hair is not hairing today. Another pet peeve of mine is the idea that a horse is only valuable if they have papers. I think it's an ignorant statement. It's overgeneral. It's overly generalized. I do think horses tend to be more valuable when they have papers, but papers are not a determination of their value or their skill. I've made grade horses that have sold for much more than, papered horses, and I've done it many times. It's not like a one-hit wonder. I've had lots of grade horses that have flunked out. I've had lots of papered horses that have flunked out. It's the papers are not the only indication of value. But at the same time, another pet peeve that kind of goes hand in hand is people who sell grade horses for a lot of money with not a lot of training. It's probably the note that says to leave the washer door open when it's not in use. If your grade horse, that's awesome, Daniel. If your grade horse isn't super broke, you shouldn't be asking 10 grand. A grade horse can sell for that much, absolutely. I had one, it's not, the washer door is open, the dryer door is closed. Those big horses, the ones with the muscles, you're gonna have to specify. Again, I talked about drafts earlier. I love drafts, they're a great breed. Definitely have to be careful with their breeding and stuff, but drafts are great horses. If you're talking about halter horses, that is a pet peeve. That's a good one. I don't like halter horses, and I'll say why. It's because they breed them overly for muscles and less for other conformational things. Like, a weanling should not look like a yearling. It muscularly, like, it should have appropriate size, because the problem is then they have a lot of soundness issues down the line. How do you handle a horse with resistance issues under the saddle? Can you explain what they are resisting? Horse kicks are really dangerous, yes. Clydesdales, it's CLY, but they're a great horse. I'm great, Serenity. Nice to see you jumped on. Clydesdales are nice horses. I personally haven't had any. I've taken care of some, I think, but I haven't had any personally. All the ones that I've seen have been really well behaved, really good horses. The bigger horses tend to be more gentle. The smaller horses tend to be more evil. Another pet peeve is the small ponies that are insanely fat. It's not okay. Like, you need to keep your little pony in shape. It's not cute to have them be so fat, because it will kill them. It will end their life early. And also, having pasture pets but not taking proper care of them. The barn I worked at, they had a donkey whose feet would curl. They had started to curl because they were so long, and that's not okay. So like they're resistant to putting the saddle on easy or letting someone ride. I would say take it to the beginning and work on saddling them. So I would throw the pad on them, a bunch, on, off, on, off, on, off. I'm pretty much going to treat them like they don't know how to be ridden. If they're resisting being saddled, just work on throwing it on and off, putting it on, cinching it up, taking it off, all that. And just take it really back to the basics for them before I worry about riding. I think racing 2-year-olds is cruel. I don't even think it's cruel. I think it's irresponsible. It causes unnecessary stress and damage to a very young body. And then they don't, they're going to have issues later in life down the line. So I'm not a fan of racing 2-year-olds. I definitely think if you're going to race them and open them up, you should wait till they're a little older. But, I understand, or I think I understand why they do it. But I still don't think it's right. I just think I understand why they do it. Another pet peeve would be putting shoes on a horse just to put shoes on a horse. When are horses fully grown? And that is why it's a hard topic. I had a horse that at 8 years old, he was still like growing, filling out. Most horses, I think, finish growing by around 6 to 8 years old. But every horse is individual. There's no good way to know how developed they are except by going to the vet and having them examined, which is a lot of money. I have nothing against starting 2-year-olds, but it needs to be done carefully. I'm trying to think. That's another pet peeve for me, is the people who say you can never start 2-year-olds. You can. It's been done, and it didn't go badly. Now, how much you start them, that's where it gets a little fuzzy. Lightly starting a 2-year-old, not bad. Racing a 2-year-old, bad. Oh, I disagree. I ride horses on the road all the time. So I don't know because I've never done a pre-purchase exam. I probably will for whatever horse I get next, because this last horse, I got really screwed over. I was lied to about what he was, and I just don't do pre-purchases because I never have, and it's never gone badly for me. This is the first one where it went badly for me. So I can't really answer how much it costs to vet a horse for a pre-purchase exam because I haven't done it. I'm trying to think. I guess another pet peeve that I feel like most equestrians share, 300 to 500. That's not bad. is people who don't understand riding arena etiquette. The fast riders go on the outside, the slow riders go on the inside, and if you're stopping, you better be in the middle. But a lot of the shows I've been to, or the warm-ups, the practices, and they just, warm-up pens are a nightmare because nobody knows how to ride. Everybody's riding on top of each other, riding up each other's butts, you know. Oh, that's another thing. And I get it because, like, the people that did it to me, I think weren't very horse experienced, but don't be in another horse's personal space. You know, like, if you're in a line waiting to go in, you still need to give the horse in front of you space. You should not be in their butt. Yeah, racehorses tend to be more heavily trained and just more conditioned from being run all the time, yes. But because they're so young, it's not good for their bodies long term. I'm trying to think of another ick. People who hate on Clinton Anderson. And I'll say why. So I don't like Clinton. I don't like Clinton Anderson. I think he's not a very good person. He's not someone I would want my kid to be like. Yes, Mustangs are a wild horse. However, he trains good horses. His horses are worth a lot more money, which is not the only indicator of quality, but it is an indicator. His horses are better behaved than a lot of the fluffies that want to make fun of him or say he's being unfair. Like, your horses are not even remotely on his level. You don't get to judge. And guess what? You can say that's not right. You can say that's unfair. The fact is, while I don't like Clinton, I agree with his methods. They're not even his methods, by the way. Those training methods have existed forever. He's the one who marketed them and made money off of them. And I respect him for that. He did a great job getting money from it. He, advertised, he put it out there. And I will say, at least Clinton is upfront with who he is. Again, I don't like him. I think he's crass. He's a little too hard on him, in my opinion. But overall, Clinton is a good rider. Clinton does good work. And you, with your pasture puffy, don't get to judge someone who's on a level far above where you'll ever be. That's a pet peeve, is the people who judge him. I don't know what point-to-point racing is, but I've raced in cornfields where we both tried to see who would get to the end first. That was a lot of fun. Haven't done that in years because I was a child then, and I didn't understand that I could probably get in trouble for that. But I don't know. Those are some of my pet peeves. I have a lot more. I just wanted to come on and talk about them. I had hoped that I would get more equestrians who could put their 2 cents in on their pet peeves, but I don't do a ton of jumping, and the only jumping I do is just over things. I jump on trails. I don't jump professionally, so I don't have a lot of the skills and the etiquette. But yeah, I think we covered a lot of the pet peeves. There's a lot more, and maybe I'll try to do more of those, but I also try not to focus on the negative in the industry because the industry is negative enough as it is. But I also think all equestrians kind of like to be able to like vent about things that they don't like. But yeah, there's some equestrian icks, pet peeves. And I guess I'll see you guys later, because I'm kind of drawing a blank right now. And I'm running out of the icks. But thanks to anyone who watched, and I guess I'll see you guys sometime later. Bye.